Hello, my name is Elizabeth Duval, and I'll be presenting on arts education in America's public school system. So originally, I was planning to research arts organizations making a difference in K-12 education, but while I was searching for sources, I discovered an excellent book called Revitalizing Arts Education Through Community-Wide Coordination, and I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, but in a good way. This paper has ended up being really helpful for planning how to move forward in my teaching position. In Michael Kaiser's book, Curtains, he mentions that we are now seeing the second generation of students without access to quality arts education. I wanted to know more about why this happened in relation to the public school education system. It turns out that in 1958, during the Cold War, the U.S. government passed the National Defense Education Act in response to Sputnik and the space race. The NDEA pushed a focus on STEM and analytical thinking, and reversed the anti-homework movement that had been popular at the turn of the century. Fast forward to No Child Left Behind in 2001, and we all know how well that's worked out for us. In the book about revitalizing arts education, it states that arts education initiatives start from a weak position compared with those in other fields of education. I wondered why, considering I had to write and present an advocacy speech in order to graduate from my music ed degree. What I've realized is that arts advocates are really good at explaining why the arts are important, but when it comes to strategizing how to successfully run arts education programs, we struggle to find common ground. As I was mapping out the technical problems we're facing in public school arts education programs, I was reminded of the elementary writing strategy of the 5 W's and 1 H. I came up with these 6 questions to organize my thoughts. The issue when we're trying to figure out how is that no one can seem to agree on definitive answers for each. Who is responsible for delivering arts education? Is it the general classroom teachers? Do we have an integrated arts program? If we do we have specialists who collaborate in the integrated arts programs? Or do we have specialists that have standalone classes? Or is it community-based outside of the school, maybe in an after-school program? What is the goal of arts education? Is it about appreciating the arts, or is it about mastering an art form? When do we offer students arts education? Is it during school time? Is it in an integrated program, or is it a standalone program? Or is it outside of school, maybe after school? Where are funding and resources coming from to support arts education programs? Is it federal? Is it district budget money? Is it coming from grants? Do we have community organizations raising money for us? Why do students need arts education? We don't need to talk about this. Everybody knows why. And how do we ensure students are receiving quality arts education? Are we talking about the standards from 1994? Are we talking about the current Common Core standards that are still being created today? How do we ensure that we have qualified teachers in these positions teaching these programs? So we have all these unanswered questions, and it makes the how really confusing, hence our lack of progress in rebuilding arts education programs. So when we're focusing on the how, we have a lot of adaptive issues. Students, guidance counselors, administrators, and the general population need to understand that the arts are a viable career path and a valid addition to STEAM. It's not STEM, it's STEAM. We can't keep steering students away from the arts because we don't see them as a way to make a living. Even if students choose not to pursue a career in the arts, they are still learning valuable skills from our programs. So in the Bodilly et al. Book, they break it down into 8 different steps to advocate for your program. Step number 1 is to inspect and evaluate your arts education programs. Find out what you already have and figure out what you need. The next step is to set common goals. We want equal access for every child. We also need to come to a consensus about the 6 questions previously discussed. After you figure out those goals, then comes the strategic planning. I like to think of this as backwards design. So once you have your goals, you break down the steps it takes to get there. Then you construct a case. You choose your why, you stand your ground, you show a unified front, and use common language. Make sure everyone is on the same page. Then you collect and advocate for resources. Make sure you document your needs and manifest the best scenario you can. Even if you're not getting everything you're asking for, just having it documented is going to be enough that over the years you're going to be like, this is what I've been asking for year after year and it's not here. We need to make this happen. After that, you can advocate to hire an arts education coordinator that is highly placed within administration. I thought this was the most interesting of all steps, and I love this idea. We have athletic directors, we have special education directors, we have curriculum directors. Why don't we have arts education directors? Then you expand individual and organizational knowledge of the arts, professional development for everybody that's involved in your programs. Make sure that teachers, administrators, and the community know how to effectively support and lead arts education programs. Finally, you're at a place where you can advocate for your program and you can help build and grow and support that program. So finally, I did do some research into arts organizations that are advocating for K-12 arts education. A lot of these have been really helpful to me during the pandemic specifically. So the first one is the National Coalition for Core Arts Standards. They've been vital in the creation of the Common Core Arts Standards. They created the Arts R education movement. They have created a pledge to prove commitment to the arts that anyone from students up to school board members and government officials can sign. They have advocacy resources that help with effective communication to people in leadership roles, and they're actively communicating with legislation to stay relevant. The NCCAS is spearheaded by the Young Audiences Arts for Living, whose mission is to inspire young people and expand their learning through the arts. They're constantly raising money to help advocate for arts education. Then we have the National Association for Music Educators. This is an organization I've been part of since I was in college. They offer conferences and professional development opportunities. They are constantly advocating for music programs, and they have great resources available. And then finally, we have the National Coalition on Aerosol Study. It's a collaborative effort put on by the National Federation of High School Associations, NAFME, and dozens of other organizations. Their research on the spread of COVID through aerosol has been a vital part of advocating for performing arts, specifically over the last year and a half. And I think my time is up, so thank you.